Imagine this. A Roman general stands on the brink of battle, thousands of soldiers waiting for his command. But before a single sword is raised, all eyes turn to the augurs, the priests who will read the will of the gods. The outcome of this battle, the fate of thousands, rests not on strategy or strength, but on the behavior of a bird, or whether sacred chickens eat. This isn't fantasy, it's history, where augury shaped the course of wars, elections, and even the founding of Rome. Today, we're diving into the mysterious and powerful world of augury in ancient Rome, exploring the stories where omens weren't just superstitions, they were decisions that changed the Roman Empire forever. Our first story takes us to the year 249 BCE, in the midst of the First Punic War, where consul Publius Clodius Pulcher made one of the most infamous decisions in Roman history, one that would become a cautionary tale for centuries. Picture this. Pulcher is about to lead his fleet into battle against the Carthaginians. But before the Romans set sail, tradition demanded they consult the sacred chickens. According to augury, if the chickens ate the grain offered to them, it was a sign of divine favor. If they didn't, the gods were displeased. On this fateful day, the chickens refused to eat. Frustrated and impatient, Pulcher reportedly grabbed the birds and threw them into the sea, declaring, "If they won't eat, let them drink." His soldiers, superstitious and uneasy, were shocked by his blatant disregard for the gods. The result? A catastrophic defeat. Pulcher's fleet was decimated, and many Romans believed the gods had punished him for his hubris. Pulcher was later prosecuted, not just for military incompetence, but for his insult to the divine. This case illustrates how deeply ingrained augury was in Roman decision-making. Ignoring the gods came with a price. Let's rewind to an even more foundational moment in Roman mythology, the legendary story of Romulus and Remus. This is where augury played a direct role in shaping the birth of Rome. According to legend, the twin brothers, Romulus and Remus, couldn't agree on where to establish their new city. They decided to consult the gods through augury. Each brother would watch for birds and interpret their flight as a divine message. Remus saw 6 vultures first, but Romulus saw 12 later. Now, here's where things get messy. Remus argued that he had seen the birds first, while Romulus claimed the gods favored him with a greater number. The disagreement spiraled into violence, and Romulus ultimately killed his brother, going on to found the city of Rome on the Palatine Hill. This mythic tale set the precedent for how important augury would be in legitimizing power in Rome. Whether you were a king, consul, or general, divine signs were more than just symbolic. They determined who had the gods' favor, and therefore the right to lead. Our next story brings us to the reign of Rome's 5th king, Tarquinius Priscus, and a famous augur named Attus Navius. This story is one of belief, challenge, and power. King Tarquin wanted to expand his army by increasing the number of equestrian centuries, units of cavalry, but Roman law dictated that such changes required favorable omens. Attus Navius, a respected augur, was called upon to determine whether the gods approved. After consulting the signs, Attus told the king that the gods were not in favor of the change. Tarquinius, furious, decided to humiliate the augur. He handed Attus a razor and a whetstone, and mockingly challenged him to prove his abilities by cutting the stone with the razor. To everyone's amazement, Attus consulted the birds, performed the feat, and successfully sliced through the whetstone. The incident only cemented the power of augurs in Roman society. If an augur could perform such miracles, who was a king to question the gods? From then on, Attus became a symbol of the divine authority augurs wielded. This story shows that even Rome's most powerful rulers had to bow to the will of the gods as interpreted by these priests. Next, let's fast forward to a time when augury wasn't just about warfare or personal leadership. It had a profound effect on Rome's political system. In the mid-2nd century BCE, the Lex Aelia et Fufia was introduced, giving augurs the power to delay public assemblies and elections if unfavorable omens were observed. This law created a unique dynamic in Roman politics. Politicians began to use augury not just as a religious tool, but as a political weapon. If a politician wanted to delay an election or a vote, all they needed was an unfavorable omen. The law allowed for the manipulation of political processes, sometimes stalling important decisions indefinitely. It's fascinating to think that entire assemblies could be postponed because of something as seemingly simple as a bird flying in the wrong direction. Yet, this shows just how seriously the Romans took their belief in divine signs. Religion and governance were inseparable in ancient Rome, and augurs held the power to shape both. Finally, let's look at one of the most impactful uses of augury in Roman elections. Clodius Pulcher, a radical plebeian tribune in the 1st century BCE, passed a law that allowed elections to be interrupted if augurs reported unfavorable signs. While this may seem like a simple procedural change, its effects were monumental. In 54-53 BCE, elections ground to a halt. The augurs continuously reported unfavorable signs, and as a result, the elections were delayed, creating chaos and instability in Roman politics. The law Clodius enacted demonstrated just how intertwined religion and politics had become. Augurs weren't just priests. They were power brokers who could halt the machinery of government with a single unfavorable omen. This case shows the darker side of augury, its potential for manipulation. While augurs were meant to be neutral interpreters of the divine, their influence could be used to serve political agendas, delaying decisions and blocking opponents. From the birth of Rome to the manipulation of elections, augury wasn't just a quirky religious practice in ancient Rome. It was a force that shaped the empire's most important decisions. It determined when wars were fought, how leaders rose to power, and even how the city of Rome itself was founded. The augurs, with their ability to read the will of the gods, wielded enormous power in the political and military spheres. And while we may look back and think of it as superstition, to the Romans, augury was a vital part of life, a way to ensure that their decisions aligned with the will of the gods. Ignoring it, as Publius Clodius Pulcher learned, could have disastrous consequences. In the end, augury was a powerful reminder that in ancient Rome, the gods always had the final say. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the world of Roman augury. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the fascinating stories of the ancient world. And let us know, what ancient practice would you like us to explore next? Leave your thoughts in the comments below.